Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about creation of an employee in Cloud ERP using REST API. So here are the below steps which we use it to learn this particular approach. Okay, so the first task I want to show you is how do you create a person from the UI as well as how do you search a person from the UI. So here if you observe the navigation is you have to click on my client groups and person management. This is for the purpose of person management. Now let us say I'll just navigate to my Fusion. So and I logged in with the user HCM IMPL and I clicked on my client groups. In this one, you have an option you have a like a privileges new person as well as person management. So if you just click on person management, this allows you to search a person, the existing person. If at all, if you know the person number or a person name, we can just simply search it. Okay. So this is one of the employee or a person, which we got the result, right? So this is how we can search a person. But let us say now I want to show you how do you create a person or employee from the UI, right? So what you can do is you have to again navigate to my client groups and click on new person. And here it provides a different set of options. And here you have to click on hire an employee. Okay, hire an employee. So this particular creation of a person or employee involves good amount of steps. Here, if you observe, there are 5 pages where we have to fill up the information. And of course, it's not that every particular page is having a mandatory information, but little bit, it has a personal information as well as the assignment information, legal entity information. There's a good amount like payroll structure and all those things. Okay, I'll just say select the legal entity first thing. So I'll go with US1 legal entity. Okay, I'll just say okay, I'll just say Ganesh. Okay, and I'll select this one, Mr. And I'll just ignore the other things which are not mandatory. And of course, the date of birth, these all things are mandatory always. Okay, so I'll just select some date of birth, some name, some value. Okay, now national identification. So generally, it is always a mandatory because when you are recruiting an employee for the legal purpose, obviously you have to select a set of things, right? I just selected United States as a country and national identification number. Just mention some number. It's just a number probably. Okay. Now you can just click on save. Partially it will save the information, or you can click on next. Okay. Enter it. It is saying like invalid security number, right? Okay. It says the social security number can't be numeric, right? So I'll just try to get the one of the sample number which I have it. Okay. So I'll just use this one because it follows a specific format, right? So obviously you have to mention some number. Okay, I just clicked on save. So as of now, the data got saved. You can click on next. So as of now, we just entered only personal information as well as the identification information, right? Now it will ask you mention the address details address one, address two. So I'll just mention some zip code because it is a country specific thing, right? So maybe like until unless you enter the valid information, it will not allow you to go further, right? So I'm just entering some information which I got from my previous test run. Okay. So I'll just click on save. So as of now in this page, I just entered only the home address. So far we entered the name and worker information here. If you observe, right, this got selected automatic. No, this we have selected, right, the legal entity information. So here if you observe the first screen, right, legal employer, we selected US1 legal entity. That is why it was showing this one. Now home address we have done and employment information. I'll just clicking on next. If at all, if you want to enter the home details, phone details, all these things also you can enter. And visa information, all those things also. Okay. So you can just try again, here it's saying business unit mandatory. Just say, or I'll just say US1 business unit. Okay. You can mention the job position and all these things. So again, it all depends upon, there are a number of factors involved, like when you're creating an employee, it depends upon the the country of origin for which employee you're creating, and the position, and there are many other things which will come into picture. What kind of employee it is, and all those things. I'll just simply click on save and submit. It will take some time to generate the data. I mean, confirming the data, right? So I'll just click on submit. So this information, right? So let's just click on submit. So once you click on submit, it will invoke an ESS job. The request will be submitted. Do you want to continue? Just simply click on yes. So this step will perform a creation of an employee. Okay. So this is the first step which we want to discuss. Anyways, it will take some time to perform the further step. So I'll just get to the second step. So in the second step, what I want to do is I just want to show you how do you invoke a REST API to invoke all the employees. Okay. Of course, like invoke extracting all the employees is not at all a good thing, but I just want to show you how do you simply perform this particular step. So now this is the URI which Oracle provided, and the operation which you require to do is a get operation, and it's this one, right? The line number 16 is a fully qualified URL of the REST API, and the above one is the URI which Oracle documentation provided. Okay, so I just concatenated with my cloud instance URL with this particular thing, right? So I'll just go to my Postman. So here, if you observe, so there are two ways. Either you can execute. Now here, what I'll do is I just remove this employee ID or person ID, and I'm just trying to execute this particular REST API, and I provided the authorization information here. If you observe, like once you here you have to provide the operation, okay, whether it's a get, post, or patch, delete, whatever it is. Mention the URL of the REST API, and in the authorization mention the basic, select the basic authentication, select the username, password, and then execute it. Okay, when you click on send, it will just execute the REST API, and it will provide the result in this particular down window. Now here, if you observe, we got the good amount of records. This has fetched all the set of data. Okay, so this has fetched all the records. But if at all, if you want to, if at all, see here, right? So if you see there are 5,000 lines, it fetched it, and even it is not a full information, it will have some set of restriction that it will fetch only a set of records, not all the records. Now let us say if I want to fetch a specific record, right? Instead of extracting all the records, I just want to fetch only a specific record. So Oracle provide one more REST service called like getting a specific employee. Here, if you observe, the second and third one are almost same. The only thing is here, if you observe, we just need to mention the unique ID. So the unique ID, Oracle has provided documentation for that. It says that if at all, if you want to extract some set of employees based on some criteria, just mention them like this: EMPS question mark, mention the person ID, effective start date, and all these things. But documentation says to provide all this information. What you can do is, the best thing is just mention the person ID. That is just simply enough. So what I can do is I'll just mention the person ID, same URL, just mention the person ID, question mark q is equal to person ID is equal to mention the person ID, and just that's it. So it will fetch the data of only that specific person, right? So this was one of the person which I created. So using REST API, yeah. And we know that the response of a REST API generally will be in JSON. Of course, it will have a different formats, but in our case, we just extracted the data of a JSON one from the REST API. Okay. Now we can also search this particular thing, like the user which got created, right? Okay. Now, so before proceeding further, what we can do is we can find out the user information from the backend, right? So I just already have prepared a query for this, like using a BI query. What I'll do is, so I'll just see yep. So I'll just copy this one to get the latest employee which we created, right? So we just created an employee with the name Ganesh B, right? So mention the query here. Okay, click on data view, right? So let's see whether you got the, yep. Of course, we are getting multiple set of records. That's a different story. We'll try to validate that. But here, if you observe, the first two records, right? The first two records are ours, like a 4769, right? This 4769 is the employee which we got created. And here we have a name type as US as well as global. That is why we got multiple records. Okay. Now, if at all, if you want to search the person, what we can do, you can simply go to the My Client Groups, and you can just click on person management, and you should be able to see the information, right? Give the person number, and you can see the person which we created just now. Okay. And also, okay, so now, so the first next step I want to show you is like a creation of a employee. Okay, so now generally, like we are aware that like whenever you want to create any record in the Oracle Fusion, it requires good amount of fields. So now to create a person, just now we saw that to create a person, we require a personal information. You require NIN, like you require a legal entity information, and you may also need to generally provide the the mobile phone details, email details, and all those things, right? So I just prepared a payload. So in this one here, if you observe, it has good amount of fields to be provided. So, but how do you get all this information initially to get sorry, this one. So to initially get all this information is very difficult. What you can do is just create a person from the UI and extract that particular specific person information and then prepare the payload. And here, if you observe, it is almost similar information which we provided. I'll just provide some name here. Now, legal entity, we know that, right? When you are trying to create a person, you require a legal entity. So I'll just mention the name. So I'll just say NA. Okay, I'll just say, okay. I'll just mention some name. Okay. And now like mention the phone number. Okay. And now mention the other phone number. So there are different options. You have a phone number, you have a fax number you can mention, and the country code and name suffix. You can ignore this one as of now. I'll just say this is an email ID. Okay, I'll just say this one. Okay, and again, this is the address information. Okay, I'm just going with the same address, gender status, passport number, and all these things. Of course, you have to mention the unique passport number and also unique national identification number, else it will error out. Okay, I'll just mention some other number here. And this is my username, right? This is your Fusion login username. So I'll just mention, okay, I'll just say this is my username I'm mentioning, and the remaining I'm just going with the same thing. Nothing but these are the assignment details, to which manager you want to assign, to which organization you want to get assigned, and what is the employee type, and what are your working hours. All those things you can mention here. Okay, so I'll just copy this one. Now to execute this particular REST invocation, what you can do is just like I just open another particular request here, and it's a post operation and the same URL. Okay, there is no difference. And in the body part, right? So here, if you observe, like when you mention the URL at this place, and in the body part, copy paste your payload, and in the authorization part, select the type as basic authentication and mention the username and password. Now just click on send. It will validate all the data. If any errors, it will not allow you to create it. It will simply say what is the error and you have to correct it. Then only it will be successfully created. Okay, let us wait for a few more seconds or minutes. So generally it takes half minute. So once it gets created successfully, it will generate the response, and then that response generally will have all the information like a person number and all the information which we passed it. And also apart from that, it will also provide some extra information for us. Yep, it got created successfully. I'll just copy this one. Okay, I copy the response here. And now the first thing what you can do is just try to find out the person number. Okay, yeah, 4770, right? 4770 is a person number. Yep, it generated the data in a sequence manner. 4770 is my sequence number. And now also just see the username, right? Username I mentioned Sriram ERP Tech. So what I'll do is this username is a front-end login user, right? So how do you find out that? So we can just click on tools and security console, and in the security console click on users, and now here mention the username and just search it whether it will provide you the information or not. Let us see that. So now the single step would have created employee from the front end, sorry, employee as well as the user account also. Can you see? Of course, it may not have all the roles. Maybe it will have just only employee abstract role. That's it, right? This is a basic thing, right? If at all, if you want to log in, you have to reset the password and then you can log in with this particular user also. Here, if you observe, right? So it is having this associated worker information. So this user is not just a user, but this user is also employee. So whenever you have any employee worker, like if your particular user is tied with account, it means that your user account is tied with the person or employee, I mean to say. If you don't have any associated worker information, it means that you just have a simple user. I'll just show you this one. I'll just say click on done. I'll just say add user account. So now here, if you observe, if I don't select worker, okay, I'll just say test one L name, right? Test one L name. Okay. So So now this step in like here, what are we doing? We just create an employee, okay, without any worker information. Okay, so there is no worker information at all. This how we like, and this was the thing which got created. Okay, now let us say if you at all, if you want to retrieve all the information, like now as of now we provided phone number and all those things, right, for the latest person number. So what I can do is I'll just show you this simple query, like which involves getting all the information. Like this was the query. So this query, we just need to pass the person ID. So from where you get the person ID, you can just get it from here. So I'll just copy this person ID and I'll just pass this one, employee with legal entity information. So here if you observe, and this per all people F is a primary table which will have the person information. The person ID is a unique key which is generated for each and every employee. You just need to join with per all people F with per person name F, which will have, if at all, if you want to just get the name. Okay. Now, if you at all, if you want to get the email address, if you at all, if you get the phone number, national identification, address, user details, legal entity details, then you have to join all this particular table. Okay. So that is what I have done it here. So like why do you need a BI query and all those things? It's just kind of a verification, or like if at all if you have end system to extract the data, something like that, then like if at all if you want to build a report for all the employees which were created by the REST API, then you can use this particular BI report query. Okay. Right. So we got the information, right? Like this one person number, we got it, email ID, phone number, legal entity, and national identification number, the like the username and the address location, NINs, say national security number, phone number, all these things, right? So this is how we can create a person using REST API, and we have seen how do you create from the UI, as well as we have seen how to validate the data using the BI query. Okay. So this is all about the demo for this particular employee creation. Thank you.